Hello everyone, salutations. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, fabulous, or night, whatever you're doing, whatever's around you right now. I have a really sad case for you, and I have been getting feedback from you. Please let me know down in the comments below if you can hear me a lot better. I am going to I am very grateful for the feedback I am getting from you guys. And if you are listening, hello, welcome. This is Catie Brannon and Tea Time True Crime with Catie. And if you like or fascinated, if you are fascinated by true crime, please like and subscribe and share your friends. This is the podcast where I'm just going to talk into this fancy mic about horrifying things while sipping tea. Not the whole time, but you kind of hear the ASMR, Tonight's tea I am drinking in my witch's brew cup. If you are at any kind of conventions, cons, stuff like that, where people can dress up in cosplay, horror, or anything like that. My favorite is Scares That Cares. It's like the best. And they have Arthur Con, but they have other cons as well. Retro Daddios is the place to get any kind of knickknacks, stuff you cannot find anywhere else. And Jen is the owner and also a very good friend. So definitely support small and check out Retro Daddios. This is where I got this awesome Witch's Brew teacup. Well, tea mug. It is a cup, but Oh yes. That is peppermint tea. No caffeine, I hope, because it is after midnight I'm doing this story. I have my crystals behind me. I am wishing everyone wonderful vibes and good energy because this story is anything but it needs to be told. At the end of this story, I will have a tip line because this case is unsolved. Alright, I'm going to have a disclaimer. Warning, I'm going to be maybe using foul language. I'm going to be talking about adult situations, SA, unsolved, just, violence, sad, just stuff that it could totally ruin your day. But I do believe that with this awareness and trying to be the voice for the voiceless, I feel that is very important. So we are going to talk about the yogurt shop murders. This story actually came to me a couple years ago by someone, and then recently this nice gentleman, Sean Gardner, mentioned this case because I mentioned my podcast while working. I have this cool little stand at work where you can scan and like and subscribe and add me. It's pretty cool. And he was like, "Oh wow, you true crime podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "Well, what is the crime that has traumatized you the most?" And what I told him, believe it or not, is there is so many. As an empath and someone who loves people and just really loves people and being around them and feeling energies and just making people happy. I mean, when I read a lot of these cases, they're very traumatizing. But he told me straight up the 1991 yogurt shop murders. And then I was like, okay, I will do that the next time. And I will give you credibility, sir. And a shout out to your wifey. You seem pretty awesome. Okay, so the yogurt shop murders are unsolved. And it is pretty insane because we have amazing technology now, but I will talk about that at the end. So let's get to the horrible. I'm going to describe the site that has haunted detectives for years. I can't believe it's not yogurt. Was a yogurt shop that is in Texas where 4 teenage girls lost their lives. Now, the detectives went to the yogurt shop originally because of this crazy inferno fire. They went to just take, get rid of the fire, decrease the flames, fire extinguisher, the water hose, all that jazz. But they did not expect to find what they found. A seasoned detective was on the scene and said that he literally went to Vietnam, and what he saw was worse than what he saw in Vietnam. Yeah. So the scene is this. Firefighters, police are trying to extinguish the flames. And as soon as they do, they see naked bodies, and they immediately knew they were children. They're not exactly children, but when you're older, they're total kids, but they're teenagers. Okay? Teenagers. And these girls are naked. Yes, they are naked. They are bound and gagged by their clothes, and they are shot. There seemed to be an execution style shot to each of their heads. The youngest of the 4 was only 13 years old, and I have my paper right here. Yep, 13-year-old Amy Lee Ayers, okay, it looked like she was crawling away, and she was shot twice. The girls that were found were 13 Amy Ayers, 17 years old Eliza Hope Thomas, 17 years old Jennifer Ann Harbinson, and 15 years old Sarah Louise Harbinson. Jennifer Harbinson and Sarah Harbinson were sisters. Eliza and Jennifer, Eliza's the 17-year-old and Jennifer is the 17-year-old, they actually worked there. And the sister and the friend Amy were there at their job to help them close, just help them, sweep, mop, whatever you need to do when you're in a restaurant or any kind of food service. They were there because they were all supposed to hang out that night and have a sleepover. Now, $540 was stolen out of the register, which that is like no money at all for 4 lives. Now, the sisters, Jennifer Ann Harbinson and Sarah, they were the only children of the Harbinsons. So that night, the Harbinsons lost everything. Now, this case is topsy-turvy, twisty, bizarre, okay? So, I have looked and listened through other podcasts, read articles, and I can't exactly find out which girl was sexually assaulted, but there were, they said a couple of them or one girl was sexually assaulted. So not only these girls were gagged and they were essayed, okay, and then they were shot and then they were burned. Horrific, absolutely horrific deaths for these teens. Now, there are so many theories about what happened, and I'm going to talk about a few of them, and I'm going to talk about what the investigators thought for a long time. So, there apparently was 2 people that were there after close. Now, one person was there and the other person was going to the restroom or something like that, and just went in the back, and someone's like, hey, what's that guy doing back there? And one of the girls were like, meh, taking a piss, taking a piss. And one of the guys bought a Sprite. Now, back in 91, if it is closing time, the girls can lock the door 10 minutes before close and start their closing. So, police believe that those 2 men that were in the restaurant, that these girls, that these girls like let them chill in the restaurant, didn't think anything of it, were the murderers. Because when the bodies were found and the fire was going, the front door was still locked. Now, these 2 men could have crept in the back, but I feel in my heart that they were already in the store, and the girls locked them in the store thinking, like, who the heck is going to think that someone's going to, like, rape and murder you and then light you on fire? Like, what? Sadly, the DNA evidence was not the best because the fire was so hot, and then mixed with water, from the fire hose to extinguish the fire. DNA profiling, the DNA profile was not very good at all. It was just horrible samples. And police back in the day did mess up. They did. They left evidence back in the store that they thought were still there. And when they went to go retrieve the evidence, it was gone. They thought it would still be there. There's more information on that in the book called Who Killed These Girls, where this author really thinks that the men that I'm about to talk about were the ones who really did it. And because of DNA evidence, that's why they were set free. Lack of DNA evidence, excuse me. So it is chaos right now. It is panic city right now in this small town. They really want to find out who killed these girls. So the police had a lot on their plate. They actually had up to 342 suspects. Yeah, that's a lot. And they went down to this one. Maurice Pierce actually was arrested 8 days later after the killing because he was on some kind of joyride, but he had a .22 caliber pistol. So he named his accomplices, which was Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, and Forrest Wellborn. They were all teenagers. Now, before all that happened, you had a famous creep, a serial killer named Kenneth McDuff, and he confessed like right before his execution, which there was a lot of false confessions in this murder. I don't understand why people confess things that they did not do, because the evidence did clear them out, like, dude, you did not do this. And then they found out the serial killer just wanted pretty much clout before he died, before we executed him. And then he recanted and said, I would have done, I wish I did something like that, or something sinister. It was really sick. But he was a serial killer, and he is, spoiler alert, gone, executed. Bye. So there's a lot of false confessions, and police have a lot to go through. And sadly, nothing stuck until 8 years later. There was a written confession by Michael Scott, but as he was confessing, you guys won't believe what happened. And it's not a hearsay, they actually had it on tape. I believe it was in 1999. So this is, like I said, 8 years later. And the police really want to solve this case. And one of the cops was holding a gun to Michael Scott's head. Yes. So that is a no-no. You do not do that. So that is evidently a coerced confession. So in 2006, Michael Scott and Maurice are out of prison because what was violated was the Sixth Amendment. Their confessions were used against each other, but they were never allowed to cross-examine each other at trial, which actually violates the constitutional rights. But as the families of the girls say, you're talking about violating rights, but our girls are still murdered and gone. Our families are still torn apart. So there are tapes of the coerced confession, okay? There is. Michael, Scott, and Springsteen. There was definitely some confession, and it may have been coerced. But one thing I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that the girl who wrote the book, who killed these girls, sorry, something Lori? Sorry, you know I'm not the best with names. She thinks those two guys had something to do with it because they knew they knew so much information about the case that was not even like known to the media. And the police really believe that they are involved. Now, the first detective on the scene, I will talk about this amazing man who sadly has PTSD to this day, is John Jones. He is the first investigator of the scene in 1991, and he even was in plenty of interviews and I believe in talk shows. But he basically really wants this solved, and he has this kind of shirt. I believe it's just a police shirt that he wore that night that he has still in his closet. He said that when this case is solved, he will wear that shirt again. Now, the murders have been over 30 years later. Am I giving up hope? Absolutely not. No. If you check out my TikTok, it's the @ at Pale and Sweet, PALENSWEET. I have some videos on there about DNA, and there is a case that I recently talked about named George Clarence Sitz. We didn't solve his case until over 50 years later, and we found the body, it was exhumed, and there was DNA, and his killer was brought to justice. Pretty incredible, right? I say, I'm so sorry for the families, like that is a given, but we should really exhume the bodies and grab more DNA. There is amazing technology right now, and it's just getting stronger. So no, I am not losing hope. I did watch the video of the two guys, Michael Scott and Springsteen. They're out of jail because of lack of DNA evidence and also coerced confessions. To this day, this case, there is a tip every month in Texas about this case. So even though it's cold, it I mean, you may think it's cold, people talk about it, but there's other podcasters that are like, it's not cold, it's open. It is straight up open. They're trying to find, they said there's someone out there, because in 2017, yeah, we're going 2017, there was unidentified DNA found in the DNA profile, and it did not match the 2 suspects that were in prison for over 10 years, I believe. One of them got $750,000. I guess to say, oopsie, there was false imprisonment. I don't know, you guys. I feel like they're involved somehow. I just do. When you listen to the tape, there is a cop. Warning, here comes language. There is a cop that is screaming. I believe it's Michael. Yeah, it's Michael Scott. And he's like, he goes, oh man, I don't like cussing like this, but I'm trying to like get you guys in the mindset where I'm at right now, because I'm like, these guys had something to do with it. They know something. But, the courts and everything said they didn't, and they're free. They're free men, which I don't want to say free because they've been accused of the yogurt shop murders, and the families truly believe that these 2 had something to do with the murders. Okay, so the interrogation was something like this. Say it. Say it. You fucking raped her, didn't you? And then Michael Scott was like, yeah, I fucking shoved my dick in her pussy. Like, just so razor sharp, like with those words. Man, that just like cut me, man. That just cut me. So I like to talk to my husband about these cases because he is fascinated by true crime. He's incredibly intelligent, but they really, really upset him. So I don't, make him upset all the time. I really don't want to do that, but I wanted to know what he thought. Man, what he said made a lot of sense. He said that he does believe that the people were there before close and the girls locked him in there. Okay? And he also thought there may have been another person there, how do you get 4 girls? 4 girls gagged, essayed, shot, and burned. Like, that's really by 2 guys? Well, he also said that it could be that someone was hiding in the bathroom. It was in the 90s. Someone was hiding somewhere in the building. And for me, when he said that, like, no, I think they were still in there because the door was locked. I don't know. I just had the chills. It could be me, but I just felt like it was an opportunity of a burglary, which I cannot believe that yogurt shop had 540, it's in the 90s, and that's a lot of money from the 90s. But so what? It's money. Take the money and leave. And one guy, I guess, was staring at one girl and got carried away and had to get rid of their witnesses. I don't know. Do you think it reeks of the Richard Spector case with the nurses? Please let me know down in the comments below. Remember that case? Long story short, a dude came in, killed, I think, 8 or 9 nurses, one by one. Because back then in the 60s, they thought, okay, we're going to do what he says and we're going to be okay. But one by one, they were all murdered. But there was a survivor. She just rolled under the bed and saw the whole thing. And he, Richard Spector, lost count of who he killed or who was in the dang room. Yeah, it was an amazing, amazing Filipino woman that survived and said the whole story. Yeah, it's crazy, you guys. That may have been one of the cases that traumatized me. That may have been the Richard Spector case. Yeah, the tattoo he had was called Born to Raise Hell or something like that. Yeah, weird, right? So I guess I'm just like rambling now because I feel so sorry for the parents. Especially the sisters, because the other sister was trying to get the other sister out. I always get misty-eyed on my cases. I'm so sorry. But all right, let's go to tips. Now, if anyone is hearing my podcast or has some kind of a soul, the tip for the yogurt shop murders is call 512-472-TIPS. 512-472-TIPS. Now, there was a law that was signed on August 3rd, 2022. It was called the Homicide Victims Family Rights Act. It was actually motivated by the yogurt shop murders. The law provides family members of cold case murder victims a way to officially request federal investigators review their cases with the latest available technology. So that's awesome. You know, that's something amazing. And I don't know, I was thinking about this case and I just bad chills all over my body. It's so sad. It like kind of brought me back to like during the Nazis, when they would kill the people, they would strip them naked and like throw them in like a ravine or a ditch, but they would put them on top of one another. So why would they put the girls on top of each other, like naked? Like it, like just the humiliation aspect is sickening and sad. And that's why in the beginning the police were thinking it was some kind of ritualistic killing. Excuse me. I need more tea. What do you guys think? I am dying to hear your theories, or what do you think happened? Do you think Michael Scott and Bruce Springsteen? Wow. Yeah, I knew I was gonna do that. Yeah, I guess hopefully you chuckled. Robert Springsteen, not Bruce. Sorry, B-Train, my bad. What do you guys think about this case? This is extremely sad, and again, it even traumatizes people to this day, because these girls suffered for what? For under $1,000 in the register? For being sexually assaulted and then bound and gagged by your own clothing? Like, it just seems like a frenzy. It doesn't seem like it was planned. It seems like one person did the really bad deed, and then the other person followed, and then the other person was cheering him on, or saying, no, you shoot him. I don't want to shoot him. You shoot him. I mean, we don't know. I'm hearing so many false confessions and listening to other podcasts, and we 100% don't know what happened. We just know that 4 families are changed forever. Absolutely forever. And they really want answers. And there's one of the families, I believe the mother already passed away in 2015, and it's very sad. She never got to know the reason for her daughter's death, or really who did it. But do you guys think these two had something to do with it? I don't know. I don't want to accuse someone, but the way he like talked, oh, when he said that, I'm just like, these are girls who had their lives ahead of them, who just worked in a yogurt shop to make some money. Teenagers. How many of y'all, raise your hand, have worked in food industry just to like make it, you know, to survive, pay your bills, be human, you know? Yeah, so thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching, hey, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this case below and what case I should talk about next. Sending peace and love and positive vibes to the families that were involved in the yogurt shop murders. Oh, man. Thank you again for listening, and if you find this video fascinating, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And let's be the voices for the voiceless. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and remember, you're doing better than you think. I will see you later. Bye.